Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to RX Muscle's Iron Road to the Olympia 2020. Thank God I could actually say that because we got the Olympia coming up. And here with us today is our President and Chief Olympia Officer and good friend of the show, Dan Solomon. Welcome back, man.
David, it's good to see you. I hope you are getting more sleep than I am, my friend.
Unlikely. I think I still am getting less sleep than you. I have 3 young kids, Dan. You forget so easily.
By the way, those kids are growing up quick. It looks like you guys are having a good time.
Yeah, we are. I'm actually jealous because you're in that stage where you get to play baseball with your kid, and he's at that level where he's really excelling now. I can't wait till the sports, start up with my son.
So are you going to be a coach? Or are you going to be one of those volunteer coaches with the bag of equipment in the trunk of your car?
I'm nervous about the coaching thing because I'm afraid I'm going to be too hard on the kids. I think I might be better as an assistant coach or something like that because I think that I would get that bodybuilding mentality and start thinking I have to subject the kids to that all or none type of thing, and I might forget about the fact that it's actually supposed to be fun for them as well,
Right. It's not all about winning, right? It's about having fun. It's about getting that trophy that says you participated.
Yeah. Well, I'm not about that, but you can't conduct practice like you're in the Nazis, in the concentration camps,
Yeah.
And I have that bodybuilding, mentality like that. You have to still remember you're a parent, and the kids are just young, and they have to, enjoy themselves to some degree.
Well, it's a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, but it seems like, you're good because you got a lot of good contacts and stuff like that. I noticed your son gets to, spend time with a lot of some major league guys, and so that's really got to be a thrill for him.
Yeah, it is. It's. I think sometimes I feel guilty because I have to spend time away, and we're all on the road a lot.
Sure.
I know that I really like to do everything that I can to sort of be able to look at my son and say, hey, you know what? These are things that I do when I travel, and now that we're back home, and get opportunities to do things. Maybe a lot of kids don't get to do, and these really special moments. We're fortunate. Look, I think we all take it for granted. Right? We all get to interact with people who are pretty damn amazing and extraordinary in many ways. So anytime we can introduce kids to folks like that, it's a thing to go do for sure. Well,
let's talk about the subject at hand, which is the Olympia. First of all, thank God for Jake Wood. I got to tell you, because there's no way this show ever would have happened if anyone else was running this Olympia. You know that. We all know that. So we got to really, really say thank you to Jake. Obviously, he decided, you know what? I bought this thing. I'm going to make it happen. We heard him on the interview he did with Sean Ray. He said, I'm funding this whole year because I think it's important that the Olympia not stop. I mean, what a great guy, what a benefactor to our sport, right?
Dave, not only is he funding it and is he honoring every commitment that he's made as the rest of the world has seen layoffs and furloughs and salary cuts, and he's just kept everything steamrolled, and he's committed to it. But when we got our prize money at the Olympia next month, we're going to be giving away more than $1.5 million. And that means this year's Olympia, in spite of all the limitations, the reductions in ticket sales, the reductions in exhibitor sales,
right,
the challenges on the sponsorship side, despite all of those realities, this year's Olympia will be the biggest prize purse in the history of the sport. And when you think about that, it would have been very easy for Jake to say, you know what, we're going to put on the event, but we're going to cut our money in half. Nobody would have blamed him.
Right.
But he's committed to it, and we all are. We want to make sure that the athletes don't pay a price for situations that were beyond their control, and Jake deserves all the credit for that.
That's awesome. Now, Hadi, since you brought up prize money, will the prize money for the men be the same as it was last year?
Yeah, we're still tweaking some things, but it's going to be right there. And of course, the prize money goes up this year because we've added a whole new division. So the addition of the Miss Olympia gets tagged on to the 1.4 that we gave out last year.
Yeah, that's my next one. What is the Miss Olympia prize money going to be?
We don't know the final number. I'm actually waiting for Jake to finish that up right now. But
Okay.
it's going to be at the very minimum consistent with all the other female divisions. But we'll be announcing those numbers pretty soon. But all told, we're going to be north of 1.5 million in prize money.
That's insane. The reason I asked that, Dan, is because that the Rising Phoenix show that Jake holds for the women, the World Championships, he gives away a lot of money there. I mean, that's with between the car and then the prize money. Will it be higher than that, you think?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a real commitment to make it higher than that. That Rising Phoenix is a hell of an event. And by the way, for those who don't know, it is still going on this year. It'll be held 2 weeks before the Olympia in the Phoenix area at the Talking Stick Resort, which they just announced a new venue for that as well. But if you haven't been to that event, it's a really great women's only event, and it's got a pro and an amateur side to it. But that's going to continue. I don't know how that prize money is going to compare to the Olympia, but I'm just kind of letting Jake call the shots on prize money. But overall, I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed.
Now, will we see the women bodybuilders do both of those events? I would assume, because I mean theoretically, they can make more money, the women bodybuilders, than almost any other division out there. It seems like with those two events.
Absolutely, it's a tremendous opportunity for the female bodybuilders to do both events. I don't know if all of them. I don't think every Rising Phoenix athlete is qualified for the Olympia. But I do know, because the Rising Phoenix is an invitation.
Right.
The Olympia is an event you have to qualify for. So, but I'd imagine a majority of them will probably be on both stages.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, you were out in Vegas a couple weeks ago, obviously for a meeting, to hang out and see Planet Hollywood, and to see the arena there. And you obviously must have had a meeting with someone who told you, hey, this might not be able to happen. What was this? Give us the kind of the order of events that happened where you guys decided we got to get out of Vegas.
Yeah, so for the months and weeks leading up to that visit that you speak of, the one we did a few weeks ago, there was a surprisingly positive sentiment. We knew our event was several weeks after the presidential election.
Right.
We knew that we were at a time when we were starting to feel that there was good indications that at the very least we'd be able to put on some kind of an event. We'd be able to have enough people, enough seating where we could at least honor commitments to our VIPs and the guests of the athletes, and sell a few tickets along the way. And we felt like we'd be in a place to put on a sort of miniaturized event, and we were comfortable doing that. We knew we weren't going to have a full-blown event. That was never in the cards. But and we were also going to be able to do it in a great new venue right in the heart of the Strip. We were feeling really good about it. And but yeah, you're right. It wasn't that visit where certain questions started to be met with answers that were having to scratch a little bit. We started to dig a little bit deeper, and followed closely some of the governor's sentiments and some of the sentiments at the municipal level and the city and the hotel level. And it was becoming more and more obvious that the restrictions were clamping down even further. And then the governor came out and started hinting about the possibility of a 14-day stay-at-home order. And what comes with that, not just the stay-at-home order, but what comes with the stay-at-home order is that any exceptions for larger crowds that we were expecting to get would not be granted. And then later we learned that the minimums were even shrinking even further. And we were about 5 weeks out from the Olympia. And I picked up the phone and I called up Jake. It was like 4:30 in the morning in Brazil. Not in Brazil, in Romania, where he was.
Yeah.
And I said to Jake, I said, listen, we have one of the best lineups we've ever had.
Absolutely.
We have Phil Heath tie a record. We have Big Ramy and Hadi Choopan and Brandon Curry coming back, and Dexter competing for the last time in these great divisions across the other lineups. And we felt really good about it. And I just said to Jake, I said, we can't have a lineup like that with no audience. I'm at peace with a smaller audience. We're at peace with a socially distant audience.
Right.
But we're not at peace with no audience. That's
Right.
not something that would be acceptable under any measure. So what we did was I said to Jake, how do you feel about me looking into some options? We only have 4 or 5 weeks to go. But, on one hand, we only had 4 or 5 weeks to go, so it seemed crazy. On the other hand, we still had 4 or 5 weeks to go. So that was kind of how I viewed it. I said 4 or 5 weeks, you can fix some things, you can get some stuff done. So he gave me his blessing to kind of go out there and see what's out there. And of course, it's no secret that some other events have been held recently in Orlando and Central Florida, and
Right.
the Orange County Convention Center is a really spectacular convention center. It's tremendous, and it's attached to the Hyatt Regency Orlando, which is
Right.
equally as beautiful. It's a very resort style, waterfall pool kind of
Yeah.
gorgeous setup, and so they're all connected. And made some calls over there, found out the dates were available, and in about 72 hours, we went through the entire Olympia week. Because remember, Olympia is not a weekend. We call it that, but it's a week.
Right.
We have an amateur Olympia, and we have Meet the Olympians and press conferences and prejudging and finals and banquets and VIP seminars, and it all kind of spans 6 days. So we went through the entire event. They had a place for all of it. And one thing I'll say about Orlando is, man, they were just bending over backwards to make sure that we had everything that we needed to put on a successful event. And after 3 or 4 days in the process, we reviewed some contracts. We had them read by the lawyers, and we closed the deal really, really quick. It might not seem like it was quick to the fans or those who were hearing the rumors waiting for a confirmation. But we did what normally takes about 2 months due diligence, about 3 or 4 days. We got the deal done, and we're just so thrilled now. We don't have to pick up the phone and call a few thousand people who were expecting to get on airplanes to Olympia and tell them to come, because that was an extremely real situation that we're dealing with. Because our VIPs were going to be told to stay home. Just imagine having to pick up the phone and call, Dexter's wife or Phil's girlfriend, or hey, you can't come, and that was starting to become a possibility,
Right.
and it was making all of us real nervous. So we're happy that we were able to find a home for the event, and I think it's a pretty good one.
Now, I have to imagine, logistically speaking, because I'm sure if flights were booked and stuff like that, did you have to rebook everyone's flights and into from Vegas to Orlando? Was that a pain in the neck? Were the airlines flexible? How did that go?
So just so you know, the way the Olympia works now is all the athletes book their own flights, and we reimburse them.
Okay.
So we have a reimbursement, sort of an athlete's benefit package that we provide, where we provide their hotel rooms, flight reimbursements, per diem expense allowances, and all that good stuff. So the burden of changing the flights fell on the individual athletes.
Thank God for you guys. Thank God.
Yeah, but the good news is airlines right now are being pretty flexible about changes and so forth, and we recognize that there's going to be instances where people are going to have to change airlines, and but it's a tough spot. We're all kind of digging in. It's all hands on deck. I think in some ways this affects lots of people in not so convenient ways, but here's the bottom line: if we hadn't made this change, there might not have been an Olympia. There certainly would have been an Olympia where very many people would have been able to attend. So I'm always quick to remind everyone, you can't really compare Vegas to Orlando, because the way things were heading very quickly, I don't know that Vegas was going to happen.
Yeah, no, you guys made the right decision. I'm positive of that. And obviously there's a lot less restrictions in the state of Florida here, and that's a better way to go. Not to mention that it's not that warm in Vegas in December. So people are going to really, I think, enjoy Orlando more, because it is really warm here, and it is kind of like a little destination spot in the middle of the winter. So
it really is. In fact, as soon as we made the announcement, all the theme parks around Vegas reached out to around Orlando rather reached out to us, and they wanted to provide passes and opportunities for all of our fans to come over. Remember, it's the week before Christmas, so it could be a real fun opportunity if you're a bodybuilding fan. Come over, watch the Olympia, stay for a few extra days. Go to Universal, go to the Magic Kingdom, go to SeaWorld, and take all that in with your family. So Orlando it really brings. Look, there's a reason why Vegas and Orlando are the two top convention cities in the country, and there's a reason why they're both very attractive for people, because they provide a lot to do, and it's a very logistically convenient experience for those who attend.
Look, I've gone to Vegas in the winter just to get away from New York, and it's, like I said, it doesn't snow there, but it's really not warm there. So, like I said, I think this will work out fine for you. The question is, and a lot of people have been asking me, who could buy tickets, Dan, for this, and who can come see this show? What's your capacity there? Is there tickets available? I mean, what's the deal?
One of the real challenges for us, as you guys know, over the years, the Olympia has always been held in what we call fixed seating environments, theaters, arenas, where the floor plans are finite, and you then plug that into Ticketmaster, and you go ahead and you just kind of hit a couple buttons and you go on sale. In the case of the Orange County Convention Center, as great as it is, we have to build our own seating grid, and it's not a Ticketmaster destination. So because of that, we are in the process as we speak. It's like the final major piece that we have to complete, where I'll be able to start getting a little bit more sleep and allowing the rest of the process kind of unfold. But tickets have not gone on sale yet. They will go on sale, I guess, from the time this interview airs, probably within a day or two.
Okay.
They'll be on sale. We're trying to get them on sale this week. And to answer your question about the numbers, all the VIPs will be able to attend. All of our athletes will be able to have their guests there. We'll be able to honor our media commitments. We'll be able to honor our sponsor commitments. And I think over and above that, we'll probably have about 1,500 or so tickets on sale for the fans. So
Great.
we don't have a final number. We're not really sure how it's going to look just yet, but the people will be able to buy tickets, and it should be a crowd big enough. Remember, here's the thing: what people don't realize. Safety protocol is all based on space and square footage. And in the Orange County Convention Center, we get something that we didn't get in Vegas, that you don't get in a lot of places, and that is wide open space.
Sure.
And wide open space, it gives you opportunities to have safer environments to put on events in a COVID situation. So we have a lot of space to work with, and as such, it's going to allow us to put on an event almost exactly like we had hoped to put on if we were having this conversation a month ago.
And Dan, you know what the bottom line is? If you're at risk, if you're at a high risk, if you don't feel like you're comfortable going, then you don't go. You watch it on the live stream. I mean, and that's
right. And
no one's making anything.
We're going to push for face masks. They won't have to wear face masks on stage, but we're hoping that there's a common sense approach to safety, and we're going to do our part to make sure that culture exists throughout the week. And I know the hotel and the convention center are very committed to that as well. But you're right, though. If you're at a place where you just feel like it's not a good fit for you, or that you're at a risk, then you should not attend. You should stay home, and that goes for anybody going anywhere. You should be very careful about the choices that you make. What's the live stream situation? What will you live stream? How much will it be? Where can people sign up for that? So that's the really good news. Jake's been very committed to the process of making sure people who can't attend can experience the event in a whole new way than they've been able to do so in years past. Now, if you recall, in years past, we would have a webcast of the Friday night and Saturday night arena shows. Right. We wouldn't webcast the pre-judging. We wouldn't webcast the Meet the Olympians. We wouldn't have the press conference on. We would just basically have all you guys go in there with your phones and kind of sneak attack and get your footage out there. And that's kind of all we would have. This year, we are doing a full-blown pay-per-view experience. And pay-per-view, we're going to have a $49.95. We're calling our premium pay-per-view channel. And that is going to allow fans to watch the pre-judging and the finals. Right. So that's something that will be a significant increase in coverage over what we've had in the past. We're also having a standalone Amateur Olympia pay-per-view, which will allow fans to watch that separately. Along those lines, for those people who have been asking, the Amateur Olympia Vegas will now be the Amateur Olympia Orlando. Gotcha. And any NPC athletes can compete in the Amateur Olympia Orlando, and it is a pro qualifier. So if you're on the East Coast and you want to experience a real next level sort of Olympia experience, and you want to compete in a tremendous event, the Amateur Olympia has proven to be one of the best events on the amateur schedule, and we're really happy to bring that to Orlando this year. And you can get that information at MrOlympia.com. And we're also going to have something called a free fan channel that will cost nothing. It will allow people at home to watch the press conference, live footage around the Meet the Olympians, and we even have this year something that we're calling the Olympia Fan Pavilion, which obviously everybody knows we can't have a full-blown expo this year. That's just not reality. So we're having a pavilion which is going to take place in the convention center as sort of the central artery, the central hub of the whole weekend. And in that, we're going to have, instead of the normal couple hundred exhibitors, there'll be 35 or 40 exhibitors. There'll be merchandising, food and a whole bunch of stuff. And it's just going to be a place for everybody to gather outside of the areas where we'll have prejudging and so forth. So it's, and then we'll have big monitors set up. So if you're unable to get a ticket for the prejudging, you can stand out and watch the action on the monitors. And I think it's gonna piece together very well. And that stuff will be covered on the free fan channel. And Jake and another part of our team has been working very, very severely, to be honest with you, on making sure that the pay-per-view is something unlike we've ever done before. And there's even going to be some options as far as ways to view each night, and backstage cameras. So there's a lot of fun stuff that's going to be, and that's going to be that those will go on sale in the next few days as well.
Now, Lee Priest had made an interesting or good suggestion on a TV show I did with him last week, where we always see like very creative camera work at the Olympia, especially because people people think you need angles and stuff like that. Would it be possible for prejudging to get a straight on shot so we see like a lot the comparison shots done really kind of like the old Iron Man Pro way we used to see everything?
So what you're saying is basically just a static still camera that's capturing the entire stage. Yeah, it's funny. I know that over the years we've always heard that feedback from fans who get frustrated that they don't have control over the camera, and the camera will do things that the fans don't want them to do, right? So I know that's something. So I think you're going to see quite an improvement in that this year. I don't know if you're going to have that angle that you're talking about, but you'll certainly have, I think, a less frustrating viewing experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying for the prejudging. For the night show, it's nice to see different angles and stuff like that. I think that's more creative. But that was one of the suggestions we had heard. As far as lighting the stage, is there any do you have any kind of enhancements like that we've seen from years past that we're going to see maybe something better as far as backdrops? I don't know. That's
so last year we made a conscious decision to not concern ourselves with photographers and to build, and I know photographers don't want to hear us say this, but we wanted to build the most heightened sensory overload experience for the 8,000 or 9,000 people who were sitting in that arena. Right. We wanted to create something epic, something where people would walk out of that arena and say that was the greatest show we've ever seen.
Right.
And we got that. People left the arena just thrilled with that experience. We pulled out all the stops. But in doing that, we did make some compromises over the contrast, over the backdrop, and a lot of the photographers and the folks who were watching at home said that the physiques were a little washed out, and we heard some of that criticism. I think this year you're going to see a little bit more of a dueling hybrid approach where we're going to try to be a little bit more mindful of that because we understand that's important in the physiques. We want to make them look good for people who are watching around the world. But we still, first and foremost, want to put on a great show because, look, the only way bodybuilding gets to that next level, as we have guys like, Shaquille O'Neal and the other celebrity friends that I've made some phone calls to are going to come this year.
Cool.
And you're going to see some pretty good names, I think, this year. But it's one of those things where we want this show to be next level. We want people to leave that building feeling like they were pleasantly surprised by what we were able to achieve production-wise, and that's really important. And we're not looking to compromise that. But yeah, I think you'll see some better lighting, and I know what the reference is in that respect. Okay. And I think you'll see some improved contrast on the page. When
you sit and plan this show, obviously it's changed a million times. I don't even know what this current strategy is. Does the previous Mr. Olympias get invites? Do you invite them to come see the show? Would you ever contact Arnold's people and say we would love Arnold to be at the show? I don't even.
Yeah,
how does
I've
that
already
go?
done that. I've already reached out to Arnold. I actually invited him in person when we were together in March in Columbus. We'd love to have Arnold there. This year's a different thing because a lot of people are taking a careful approach with COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like any of those, what you would call sort of non-required gratuitous appearances.
Right.
They're going to take a pass on it this year. For example, Mark Wahlberg won't be coming out this year. So there's certain guys that just, he sent over a nice video and we appreciated it, so there's certain guys that just won't come. But as far as the former champions, we're big on that. Last year we had a lot of them there. I think you'll see a bunch of them there. Also the fact that we moved locations, being on the East Coast, I think you'll see a lot of folks from Miami to the Carolinas will feel like it's a decent road trip to attend the Olympia in Orlando. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So I think that'll be a positive as well.
Hadi Choopan, will he be in the show? Will he not be in the show? I guess a lot of people have been speculating.
Yeah. So of course, until a guy arrives who lives in Iran, until he arrives and steps foot on U.S. soil, you can't say one way or the other definitively. Everything that I have heard surrounding that process, surrounding the pathway that he will take to get here, is extremely positive.
Oh, good.
Last year there was questions and he managed to get here, and Hani Rambat, his trainer, deserves a lot of credit for connecting those dots and providing sort of a blueprint for that. But I will tell you that I anticipate that he will be there, but I certainly can't say. And I don't think until any non-U.S. athlete is in the United States, I don't think you can say for sure who's going to be here, because it seems like the temperature changes every day in terms of the political climate,
right,
in terms of the COVID situation. So we don't know, but I'm hearing pretty positive things on that front.
It seems like there's a lot of pro bodybuilders who are staying in Turkey right now.
Right. It's like a halfway house, right?
Yeah, exactly. They got to go to Turkey to fly here, which
right.
In all my years, I never would imagine that would have been the case, right?
Yeah.
It seems like no one cares about terrorism anymore. They're way more scared of COVID. I said in those long scheme of things, maybe all the people's military and problems they've had, internationally with each other might actually be put aside, just because everyone is kind of like coming together to try to get over the whole COVID situation,
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because I was talking to Ron Harris at MD when we did an interview not long ago.
Yeah.
We talked about what it felt like to be back at events, and how it sort of sucked a lot of the negativity out of the room, and a lot of the things that you used to find yourself annoyed by, the friendships that maybe you were hurt by. It's just great to be back together again.
Right.
And I think from that standpoint, it's been really positive, because this is one of the rarest instances in world history where we've truly all gone through a shared experience. This is not these are fires that blast through California. These aren't hurricanes that hit Florida. This isn't a deadly nor'easter that came through the Northeast. This is all of us in the same situation, and we've all gone through it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody in Orlando in December, because I think it's going to be a really nice energy. The question is, are you? I mean, you're a big one for you. I know you haven't been traveling through this. You've been staying at home. I understand why. But you're about, I would imagine, 2 hours hop from Orlando. So we want to know, should we hold a seat for you at the Olympia this year?
I'm not going to go, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I have my mother-in-law lives across the street, and she comes over all the time. She watches the kids, and she's older. And if I ever brought COVID back into my house, I would feel horrendous. I would feel like and then someone actually got sick and died from it. I couldn't live with that on my conscience. So I'm laying low until this vaccine comes out, and the people who are in the higher risk categories can get vaccinated, and then I'll feel comfortable. Look, I want to send my kids back to school, because believe me, my son's driving us nuts, because he needs to go to school, And yeah. I just don't feel comfortable sending him, because I'm afraid, at this point. And so if I was a single guy, like normally, I'd be everywhere. I wouldn't be worried about. I'm not worried about COVID for myself. I'm worried about COVID for the rest of the people, because I don't want to be the responsible one who, he went to the Olympia and he brought it back, and my mother-in-law died and my kids are in the hospital. I can't do it. So I'm not going to go. But RX Muscle will be there for sure. We have a photographer who's going. Ralph will be there, and Sid will be there, and Chris Aceto. So we'll have full coverage, as we always do.
And by the way, the points you make are extremely valid. We all share in those concerns, and I tell everybody, you have to measure your own circumstances and make that choice for yourself. And I don't certainly judge anybody. Yeah. Look, our feeling was we wanted to put on an event for those who want to be there.
I'm so happy you guys are doing it, really. I like I said, I can't thank Jake enough, for the bodybuilding industry, because people just don't understand that there's no one else that would have done this. No one. I don't care. Joe Weider wouldn't have done it, because Joe Weider would not have lost money on the show. He would have just postponed it till next year, and that would have been the end of it. So Jake really should be commended on making this thing a reality, and for not dropping the prize money. I think that's tremendous. So.
Yeah, we're very grateful for Jake. Jake is not just a driving force, but he's also a source of calm for all of us. As you can imagine, this job that I have now is it's taken on a life that I don't think I could have ever imagined, and we've been dealt with some circumstances. But look, all of us are dealing with different things, and I think people who succeed in life, they almost wait for moments like this.
Yeah. They
wait for moments, because this is, I mentioned this when I was talking to John Romano and Rich Kasperi. We talked about this the other day. Sure. And, I feel like on some level I live for this stuff. I feel like I'm at the highest state of clarity, or as our buddy Aaron would say, the highest state of readiness when moments like this happen. And I feel really proud to work with an incredible, exceptional team. that we all kind of came together under, Jake's ownership, and we were able to kind of navigate this thing to what we think is going to be a good outcome. But these are the moments where you find out what you're made out of.
Yeah.
And these are the moments where you find out, where the support is, and you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about your friends. You learn a lot about who can step up and get to that next level of work and not tell you how busy you are, but just get done. And that's where we're at right now. And I've just been very proud by what I've seen. And by the way, that extends also over to, folks like you and others who have been just supportive and, stayed in communication and always trying to inquire and always trying to figure out ways where we can all help, because look, we all enjoy benefits from the existence of an Olympia. It drives the industry in more ways than just Sandow trophies. It drives the economy of the industry. Yeah. It drives many components of what we do. And I'm just really grateful to everyone who has kind of stepped forward with all sorts of positivity to kind of push us forward.
I find it a great irony too, and a great pat on the back for women's bodybuilding that here it was, and I don't know who was responsible for getting rid of women's bodybuilding, ditching it from the Olympia. They get rid of the sport, okay, of women's bodybuilding. And then the guy who loves women's bodybuilding more than anything else and who prevents it from being completely gotten rid of because he supports the shows that Tim Gardner holds, the Wings of Strength shows, and in Tampa and Chicago and all over the place. The guy who saves women's bodybuilding actually winds up saving bodybuilding in the end. So if it wasn't for women's bodybuilding, okay, there would be no Olympia this year. And that's so right. It's the ultimate irony is that the Miss Olympia is back, and the Miss Olympia really saved the entire Olympia weekend. And that is the ultimate full circle irony that of life. I mean, isn't it?
You know what, Dave? That's a great perspective, because I hadn't really framed it that way. But you are right. The very sport that drew Jake Wood into this world is the very sport that was shown the door a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a tremendous way to look at it. And I'm really glad you put it that way, because I'm all about perspectives, and that's a great one.
Because it never should have been gotten rid of. It was a part of the historical, the history of the sport was women's bodybuilding. Right. All the other divisions were built on the back of that. So even if it wasn't the most popular division, you don't get rid of the division that built the show. And the name Miss Olympia, you don't have Miss Olympia. So congratulations that I guess they did us a favor by getting rid of it, because like you said, they brought Jake into the fray. So once again, I don't believe that things all happen the way they're supposed to. I think if you hadn't been in the position you were in, I don't know if the person who was in there would have been able to rise to the occasion to make it happen the way you did and make all the accommodations that you did. Here's the one question I have for you, and then we'll end on this. But when you got involved with this, you were a guy who was doing 35 radio shows a year for an hour. I mean, making a good living for himself. And you take on this responsibility, which is really a cool title to have, right? You're the president, the chief executive officer of the Olympia. I mean, it sounds great. Did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine that you were going to have to do this much work?
No, I didn't. In fact, I remember when David Pecker offered me the job. I had spent 3 hours with him at a lunch in Manhattan. Yeah. And we were talking about all the things that we just finished the movie at the time, Bigger. Yeah. And, I had developed a whole bunch of media and just a bunch of projects along the way. And we were talking about some of the things that I had done relationship-wise and business-wise and raising capital and all these different things. So then by the time lunch is over, he says to me, I want you to run the Olympia. And I said, well, first of all, you have somebody who already does that. And he was doing a good job. And you also have a situation where that's really not what I do. Yeah. Like, there's nothing in my story that speaks to this type of job description. And he looked at me and he said, what you do, he says to me, I can find anybody out there who can put on headsets and make an event weekend go smooth. He said, but what you do is something that I can't find. And I really appreciated that. And I don't know if that's true. I'm sure there's other guys out there that can do what I do. Of course, we're all replaceable, right? But when he put it in that context, it really meant a lot to me, because I think all of us, we've spent years cultivating relationships. We've spent years learning different components of media and different components of sales and promotions and marketing and all the things that go into, operational, staff management and all the things that we all kind of have learned in different corners of the world. And so David, he offers me the job, and I almost tried to talk him out of it. I said, maybe that's not really what I do and all that. And he said, no, it's your job. I want you to have it. And then shortly thereafter, the job turned into something very different than what it started. Yeah. Remember last year we had our reigning champion got himself into a spot, and we had to deal with that with Sean, and then we had other issues that came up along the way with regards to having staff turnover, and there was just a whole lot of things that happened last year, and we were hoping that, hey, we would have an easier this year. And then this year comes, and the event was sold, which is a significant thing. Yeah. And then coronavirus kicks in, which is even crazier. And we had an entire venue change, which is probably the craziest thing that you can have in a multi-venue event like the Olympia. So I even ran into Robin not long ago, and I joked to them. I said, I'm jealous of you, Robin, because all those years you had, one event kind of led to the next, and they were kind of normal. And, it was, and I said, I dream of the day where I can have just a regular year where we're just preparing for an event, and it's not some crazy, chaotic, epic circumstance that we've been dealing with. So hopefully maybe next year we'll have that chance. But look, I'm not holding my breath for it. The
reason why you're so successful, Dan, and I'll give you a compliment, is that you never allow your ego to influence your business decision making. So you don't get, while I'm sure people piss you off all the time and probably say things that annoy you, you don't allow it to change or alter your business decisions that you make, where you're going to cut your nose to spite your face, just to say, hey, I'm the boss and I'm right. And I think that's what makes you the perfect person for the position that you're in, because you're able to politically maneuver people and be very diplomatic with people, no matter how difficult they may be to work with. And I think that's a skill. Not everyone has that. A lot of people just can't separate themselves from that. I find that to be an attractive skill in you, because it makes people want to do business with you.
It's very kind of you to say that. But, I just think at the end of the day, it just comes back to authenticity. Just keep it real with how you approach people. Keep it real with how you engage and handle situations, and try to treat people the way you would want to be treated. And absolutely, that's all I try to do. And it served me well. But I'll be honest with you, like there's a lot to be said about being surrounded. I think I've worked very hard over the years to learn where the good energy is and to stay close to the good energy. I know you and I used to talk about that. You and I used to share a real common appreciation for Dr. Dyer, Dave.
Yes, Wayne Dyer, absolutely.
Yeah, and I know that energy is real, and I try to surround myself with people who want to celebrate my success and whose success I want to celebrate in return. And I think that if you take that approach, it just goes a long way. And I know you've always been very good about shining the spotlight on the right things, and I try to do the same thing. I think it's a very important thing, and I wish more people would do it, because we'd all be having a lot more fun.
Tickets will be available where, Dan? MrOlympia.com?
Yeah, MrOlympia.com will have tickets. You can also book your room at the Hyatt Regency Orlando. There's a special discounted room booking block at the website. Go to the travel page on MrOlympia.com. And the Amateur Olympia, as I mentioned earlier, is full go in Central Florida, the early part of Olympia week. So we hope some of you NPC athletes will participate in that. And then while you're out there, you can watch Phil Heath and Brandon Curry showdown for history. And there's just a whole lot going on, Dave, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much, Dan. And guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of RX Muscle's Iron Road to the Olympia 2020, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo for Dan Solomon. We'll see you next time.